Hello! We're here with a very special edition of the Kit and Krysta podcast to talk all about and review our first review ever, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
We have seen it.
We have seen it.
We went to the world premiere.
We did.
We're talking all about that in our episode of the Kit and Krysta podcast coming out soon. We also have a vlog up if you want to see what that was like.
Exactly.
So you should be on the look. These are like the companion pieces.
There's a lot going on around this movie. A lot of cool things that we got to do. We'd love to share with you guys, obviously. And also, we just want to give you like our deep thoughts on the movie itself. So we thought we'd do this fun little review.
Yeah, we walked out of the movie and we just had to talk about it in depth.
We did.
So this is our first review. We joke, like we don't do reviews. Turns out, the little asterisk was, we don't review games.
We don't review games because we're too dumb to review games. But guess what? Everyone can watch a movie.
We can review a movie
about it.
Right.
Yes, it's very fun.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about spoilers.
Yes, you might be wondering, since we are posting this, at the time this is posted, the movie's actually not out yet. Like, what is the degree of spoiler, the spoiler world that I'm getting into?
Yeah.
Very light.
Very light.
We're being careful with this. We do not want to spoil you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that happen, I'd say in the last third of the movie.
Right.
Which go beyond chronologically what was shown in all the trailers. We're kind of cutting it off there.
Right. So the things that we're talking about have either been shown in some way in the trailers. We will talk about some broad things in the movie that is not a major spoiler, but that's right. We're not going to spoil some of the really fun moments for you guys. And the thing about this movie is it's full of these little Easter eggs.
Right.
We've seen it once, but we haven't even, I think, scratched the surface on all of the Easter eggs for you to discover. So there will be plenty for you and for all of us to discover as we see this movie multiple times, which we will be.
Exactly. Before we go any further, you might notice we have a new big addition to our set, which is this beautiful desk sent by Ewin Racing. Thank you very much for giving us this.
Thank you so much. This has really like made a big difference. Like we were using it for all of our cool like videos, and it's just like been so nice. So
yeah, our podcast set, we had a little coffee table thing that we just put tchotchkes on. And it was like, gosh, it'd be nice to have something to put like a laptop or an iPad or like a cup of coffee on. We didn't have that. Now we have all the space. This
beautiful.
This is a game changer. Ewin Racing has a variety of gaming chairs and desks, which are all beautiful and great. This one was very easy to set up.
You did it all by yourself.
I did it by myself.
Yeah.
It took me about 10, 15 minutes. And you can't see it. This one actually lights up. It has really cool RGB lighting on the sides. So they have chairs and desks that come in all different shapes and sizes. There was even one that you had your eye on that was a all pink chair.
I really like that all pink chair.
Yeah.
Maybe another time.
That's a cool one too.
Yeah, it looks very comfortable as well.
Right.
This desk is really amazing quality. It's perfect for our studio. I think if you wanted to put your gaming setup on here, it'd be super great.
This is a new permanent addition to the Kit and Krysta podcast set. So thank you again, Ewin Racing. We do have a link in the description where if you click on that and use code KK, you can get 20% off your order.
Yay!
Which is pretty darn good.
We'll put it down below, so check it out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, let's get going with this first review.
Into this review. I think a good place to start is just to ask ourselves, what were our expectations for this going in?
Yeah, so from the first trailer to when I sat down in the theater at the premiere, I sort of had like a long journey, I think, getting to where I was.
Oh.
Getting to the level of excitement that I had. That first trailer, I gotta say, while it looked really beautiful and there was like a lot of little cool things, I was still a little bit skeptical and a little bit worried about some of the things.
Oh.
Like the voice and if it's gonna really show this character in this world that I just like loved so much in the right way. Because that trailer didn't show you too much. It's a little tease.
Yeah.
Since then, we obviously had seen so much more about the movie from the trailers, and by the time I was like in the theater ready to watch the movie, my expectations were like super high. Like I was totally convinced that this was gonna be like the best movie ever, and I was gonna love it, and everything was going to be great.
Right.
So I kind of went on like a bit of a journey. What about you?
But going into it, very high expectations.
Like the moments, the week leading up to it, I was super hyped and like ready to watch a fantastic movie.
For me, if you listen to our podcast, you know I was really, really nervous leading up to the point of the first trailer because we knew when we were at Nintendo that they were making a movie. We never saw it. We never heard a lot of specifics about it. And there's just a lot of ways that they could mess it up.
Yeah.
Especially it being this collaboration between Universal, Illumination, and Nintendo. It's like, well, who's in charge here? Is it like, does somebody like strong arm somebody else to make the decision that they want?
Yeah, exactly.
So I just got irrationally scared about it. I'm like, this is going to suck. They're going to mess it up. And, you know, the casting reveal was a major
question mark
freak out moment for a lot of people. I didn't get too worried about that, but I think a lot of people shared my skepticism. Once I saw the first trailer, I immediately knew I was in good hands.
You had a big sigh of relief after that first trailer.
Absolutely.
I remember that.
Even actually, when I saw the first image they released of Mario looking up,
into
you
the
see his
Mushroom
back,
Kingdom,
I was like, they've really done something special with this. So I was not concerned about it at all after the first trailer. The voice stuff, like even then, I was like, fine, the voices are fine. I'm not going to get caught up in that. So my expectations were also really high.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that I was really unsure about going into, seeing the final movie, they did show a pretty large amount of information in those trailers. They showed a lot.
Yeah.
But it was really hard for me to sort of connect the dots on how all of these little scenes.
What the plot actually is.
Yeah, would come together into a fully realized movie with a story and a cool plot and a narrative. Because when you watch the trailers, it really just felt like these little, fun fan servicey moments.
Just little moments.
So that part I was really curious about. At that point, I was like, I'm sure they have a plan. It's going to be great. I'm not worried about it, but I was just really, really curious to understand how it all fit together.
Yeah. With Mario being the source material, it's kind of like less is more with the story. I mean, what is the story of a Mario game? It's like, oh, Mario's got to do a thing and defeat Bowser.
Right.
So I again, that didn't concern me because I was like, if they're doing this right, it's just a pretty straightforward A to B kind of story with a lot of fun stuff happening in between. And I do feel like that's mostly what it was. I mean, the story is not overly complicated. The movie is 90 minutes. There's only so much that they can do.
Yeah.
So that was my thinking on the story.
Yeah. I definitely agree that less is more, but I also kind of wanted, I felt like this was finally our chance to learn more about this universe, these characters, because Nintendo, as you guys know, especially the Mario universe, they do not care about the story at all. They rarely have any sort of hints to the player about what the motivation for these characters are.
And they had been wishy-washy with us when we worked at Nintendo about some of the things you thought you knew about Mario.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you thought he was a plumber from Brooklyn? Not anymore.
Not. Yeah.
And they would flip-flop on that a lot.
Right.
And they're like, he is not Italian, he's not representing any ethnicity or country.
Right.
It was like, well, who is this guy
then?
Who is he
then? Just this nebulous...
He's just a blank slate?
Blank slate?
And I think that mindset was a negative for the Mario franchise. Because it's like, Mario's cool, he can do cool things, but you kind of want to know a little bit about what's happening here.
Yeah, I want to know what motivates these characters, and I was excited for this movie because I was like, well, finally, there's someone else that can tell that story that's not a 30-second cutscene in a video game that from a team that doesn't hold that story part of it as a priority.
Yeah.
So expectations going in was yes, I'm finally going to learn at least one more thing about these characters that you've really grown up with, but are strangers to you, which is kind of a weird thought. But I was really excited about that. I was like, finally, we can learn about these people.
Okay. Well, let's get into some specifics. What about this movie surprised you, either good or bad?
Yeah, well, several good surprises for sure. But one thing that surprised me was the depth of that character development that we were just talking about. One really amazing example is Mario's relationship with Luigi. You play the games, they're brothers, that's kind of the
all you need to know.
Luigi gets, obviously Luigi's important to Mario because he gets himself into trouble, Mario goes and saves him. But yet, that's pretty much it. It's pretty scratching the surface. It's not very deep in terms of like, let's look at them as in their relationship. But the movie does such a great job portraying why they're important to each other, what that relationship is like. Like, they're more than brothers, they're like best friends, you know? And like, that was really cool to see. And like, what motivates Mario throughout the entire movie is to save Luigi.
Right.
Which you guys have seen from the trailers. And like, the way that they like develop that. And there's some little moments in the movie where they have like these moments together, which was like really sweet. So I really loved seeing like some of these relationships between characters, whether it's Mario and Luigi or even Mario and Peach, and some of these relationships like have some depth, and that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised by the volume of the real world component of this movie.
Yeah.
Because I expected, like, yeah, there will be a setup where you see them in New York and they fall into a pipe, and that'll happen like 3 minutes in, and then you're in the Mushroom Kingdom for the rest of this movie. But it was a good like 15 minutes, I felt.
I think so. Yeah, there's a lot of setup
of them living their lives in New York before that happens, which was a lot more than I expected. And that is where they really do build up the story of these characters of Mario and Luigi. Like, you get to see their family. Like, they go have a big dinner.
When I saw that scene with the dinner, I was like, wait, who are those people?
I know.
I was like, oh,
those can't be their parents.
I was like, that's the mom. He just called her mom.
Yeah.
I was like, it took my brain like a really kind of like a good 30 seconds to wrap myself around that. I was like, oh, that's like mom and dad. Like, this is crazy.
Right. So you see all of that. You see them trying to start up this plumbing business and not having a lot of success. They get a big job. They kind of mess it up.
Right.
So those are all things I don't think they needed to do to have, again, that very A to B story. But it gave it a lot more
like life.
Richness and payoff
exactly.
once these things happen later on in the movie.
Yeah. That connectivity between the Mushroom Kingdom and the real world was a huge question mark, I think, for both of us. Like, how is it going to work? It does, like, I think that there's, like, a good and bad side to that because, yes, they say at one point, you're like, you're a human. I was like, you are? I was so shocked.
Again, what did you think Mario was?
A humanoid. Like, he has a face, but the face is not like a normal face.
And he's also like 3 feet tall.
He's also teeny, and they do make references in the movies, like, why are you so little?
Yeah.
But like, I never, like, I don't know. I just like the admission of like, I have a mom and I'm human was like shocking to me somehow. Because I just never think about him in that way, I guess. I don't know why.
Right.
But yeah, like that kind of setup opens your mind to like other weird questions though. Because it's like, okay, now I gotta like grapple with like, okay, what happens in the real world with these characters?
Yeah,
and
so
whatnot?
I think this is something that, depending on what type of fandom you are affiliated with, like some people are gonna really tie themselves into knots.
You're gonna get tied up in
trying to answer those questions.
Right.
The way I feel about it is like, I'm not going to think too much about
That's
this.
the thing. You can't think too deeply about it, or else it's going to make you confused.
And it may not all make sense either.
I don't think they're trying to make it all.
Exactly. I don't think they care about it making sense. It's
Yeah.
like it's good for this 90-minute movie, and you know,
no one is like trying to beautiful mind this.
If you want to theorize this, like
that might be a little.
This is not Lost.
Yeah. If you try to theorize it though, I do think things will fall apart for you because there is a lot of like things that they do not explain. And you might find yourself in a place where you're like, well, that doesn't make sense because this moment happened, and then at the end of the movie, that thing happened.
I would recommend you try to avoid that kind of thinking. Yeah,
exactly. So I would say like that could be a surprise that you would not enjoy if you are like that kind of mind.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I just enjoyed the 90 minutes. I'm like, I don't need to think about this. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I accept these conditions. So yeah.
The other thing that surprised me was I expected a certain amount of little Easter eggs and references going in, but I really was not prepared for the density of it, especially in that first 15 minutes. Like they are coming fast and furious at you.
I need to pause.
And you were like, "Oh my gosh, it's this! Oh my gosh, it's that!"
I know we were like trying to like we were like laughing and like, did you see? Like, and then like after the movie, we were talking to other people that saw the movie. You're like, did you catch that one? They're like, no, but did you catch this one? I was like, no.
Yeah, there were a lot that you are gonna miss.
You gotta see it multiple
unless you're
times.
doing a repeat viewing. It's like
Yeah.
I was like the digital version or the Blu-ray or whatever you want to get.
Yeah,
Like, it's
you
kind of a
gotta
must.
pause.
It's kind of a must get to freeze frame through some of this
Freeze
stuff.
frame, yeah. So many things.
Also, I expected Mario references, but they are really pulling from all the Nintendo universe.
They hit you with the nostalgia bomb.
Right.
Real heavy and hard in that first
Yeah.
little bit when you kind of are seeing those references,
Yeah.
because it is truly like a history of what you, like, I guess you and I would think about Nintendo, because it's like a lot of NES stuff, a lot of sort of retro kind of things, and I was shocked by the amount of Easter eggs, and I'm sure I missed so many.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to go like watch it
Yeah.
again. And also, like, when you guys finally watch it, I want to see what you guys caught too.
Did you have a favorite? Did you have a favorite reference?
Oh man, it's so hard to pick, but I did like how when they go to their first plumbing job, it's like a really fancy house, like this really like rich person's house.
Yeah.
And penthouse, beautiful. And they go in, and the house is like super modern, and like you can see like all this modern art, and there is like a Pikmin modern art statue.
I completely missed that, to be honest. I
need to see it
I didn't
again.
see that at all.
So I was like, I would like that in real life. I don't even like Pikmin, but it was like an artistic, it was like a, like, you know, like some sort of like, you know, MoMA level Pikmin statue. And I was like, this is so cool how they like put that in this like rich person's house, you know? So well,
it's Mr. Miyamoto, so you know we're going to have some Pikmin in there.
He got to work it in. You got to work it in somehow. But that was a very classy way to put it in. I like that. That was really cool.
I liked, and I guess some people had seen this from the glimpses in the trailers, like the first place they go is like a Punch-Out themed
pizza parlor.
And they have like pictures of
like
all of the
Mac,
fighters on the wall, and again, it's just like layers upon layers of references.
Yeah.
And you see that early on. I was like, oh, okay, that sets the tone of like, we are in this Nintendo world.
Yeah.
Now, one other reference that again had us scratching our heads was pretty early on. You see Mario after he goes to have dinner with his family, and they're kind of like, you're not really cutting it as a plumber. And that becomes a big through line of the story, is like, am I worth my family's approval?
Yeah.
Am I just a screw up? And he goes into his room, he's kind of bummed, and he's playing the NES.
He's playing the NES.
And I'm thinking, well, what?
He's playing Kid Icarus.
He played Kid Icarus specifically. I'm like, what is the world where there's an NES but no Mario?
So this is, I can't think about this. This is where you can tie yourself up in a knot.
It's just like, it is what it is. I got to move on mentally.
But it's great that he has a room that looks like my room when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you feel
I think he had like an R-wing on the TV, like a little figurine of an R-wing.
Exactly. Like his room looked like my childhood bedroom with my like NES and my like CRT or whatever, my TV or whatever. And like it just builds a connection so fast with a character, again, that you probably don't know very much about until you watch the movie.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
One other thing that happens early on that I think was a fun homage to the people who really wanted that more classic voice is, so we saw the kind of fake commercial for their plumbing. There's kind of an earlier scene of that that we haven't seen before, where they are doing the voice. They're kind of playing up the Italian accents.
Yeah, they make a reference to it. They're like, do you think the accent was like too much?
Yeah.
And then Luigi's like, no, it's for like the commercial. We have to like ham it up kind of thing. So they really kind of acknowledge that, like, you know, we're doing this accent for fun kind of thing, which is really interesting.
Now, we went the whole movie. We know Charles Martinet did some voices. We could not tell. Did he do those? Do you think that was him? I think that was Chris Pratt and Charlie Day doing
an Italian accent.
The Italian accent.
Yeah, I wonder if he helped, like, that there are those classic Mario lines. There's a Mamma Mia in there. There's a Wahoo.
There's a woohoo.
There's kind of like moments where that is a very emphatic voice. Did he like do those, or did he like overlay his voice on top of Chris Pratt to make it feel more Mario? I don't know. How does that work? I have no idea. Right. Yeah, so, I don't know.
But again, I thought that was a nice nod to how people know them sounding from the games.
Yeah. They kind of punctuate those Mario-isms throughout the movie. So like if you feel yourself like getting out of it, they'll hit you with a Mamma Mia, every 30 minutes, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, it's Mario.
Yeah. So we just spent like all this time talking about the real world. Like, did the next question is like, did this feel like it was true to the source material? Because none of that is in the source material.
Right. I think the thing that was such a clever way to make it feel like the source material, but isn't like hitting you over the head with the source material is the concentration and the focus right away on platforming. Like, I thought that was so clever. Like, even in the real world, there's a great scene right in the beginning of the movie where they need to, like, run quickly to get to this first job. And they're basically platforming. Mario is an excellent platformer. You see him doing all of the Mario things, like triple jumping and all sorts of cool stuff. Luigi is bumbling behind him, you know? So, it really, again, it gets you, like, right into the mode of, like feeling like game-ish.
Yeah.
And then the platform becomes a huge sort of ongoing thing that happens throughout the movie as well. So they're really like using that like to kind of gamify the movie a little bit in a way. It just makes me want Mario the movie the game now. But anyways, that's another topic. But I really like that as a way of paying homage to the source material without saying like you have to stick in the tiny box and you can't get out of it.
It was not like 100% devoted because it went out of its way to expand the source material.
That's good though.
In a lot of ways, which I think was good because there's not a ton there.
Yeah.
All the stuff at the beginning in the real world was new, that was expanding, and that felt really good.
Right.
Once you're in the Mushroom Kingdom, it did feel very
Mushroom
true.
Kingdom-y?
It was like, this is what I remember and have experienced before. Some of the characters, like Peach, we talked about, you know, Peach being a breakout star of this movie because they redid her character 100%.
Huge sigh of relief that Peach was not the Peach that you are familiar with in the games, because that character is not my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's very dated to consider her a character in that way, and it's like a 180 from who she is in the movie. So that I think is awesome that they did not stick to the source material for those moments, but they did a good job in the Mushroom Kingdom. There's again a lot of little references to things that you've probably seen in the games. You know, things like coins and the way that the coins are being collected is really cute. There's a functionality and a purpose for blocks and power-ups and stuff like that. So I felt like that was a really good way of like kind of tying that source material into the story as well.
Yeah. All right, so much time has been spent talking about and analyzing the casting for this movie. Now we can talk about like, was this actually good? All the voices. So I've written down
the main characters.
I would say the 5 main characters, and we can just kind of go one by one of like how we felt about these performances.
Yeah.
So let's go. Chris Pratt as Mario.
Pretty worried about this.
How was it?
Pretty worried about this in the beginning. I was very vocal about how I did not like this. Thought it was bad. Once I had the journey with the trailers. Once I got to the movie, I was like a little bit more open-minded, I think. The thing that I think works is that they built out Mario's character so much that the voice was like inconsequential. Like they just needed someone to do the voice in a very non-distracting way. And he did that. Like it's pretty generic, but it didn't take you out of the character, which is good.
Yeah, I think this is what I hoped for, which is he is not stealing the movie with this incredible performance, but he's also not bringing it down or ruining the rest.
It's right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Reading those lines as Chris Pratt.
Yeah. just don't get cute with it.
So I thought it was totally fine.
Yeah.
Which is again what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was not disappointed by it.
I wasn't disappointed
and I didn't think it was bad.
It wasn't distracting.
So in that sense, I would give it a thumbs up.
It didn't take away from the character.
Yeah.
This sounds really harsh and mean, but I think the blandness of Chris Pratt's voice was actually fine because the character that they wrote for Mario and his role and his story was the star that needed to shine and not the voice.
There were some scenes where, you know, he was needing to deliver some emotion. I thought he did that. Like, that was believable.
Believable, yeah.
I mean, again, he was being Chris Pratt. But it was delivered well.
The other thing I think really helped is the people around, the characters around Mario. Yeah. Like when you're delivering emotion and your partner is Luigi as Charlie Day, like Charlie Day's got your back. Like you're gonna be fine if you play against Charlie Day, you know? Or like you need to deliver some emotion like being scared of Bowser, like Jack Black will make you scared of Bowser, you know? So I think again, the blandness was fine because the other characters sort of shone through that, and the characterization shone through that as well.
So speaking of some other characters, Jack Black is Bowser.
I'm obsessed with Bowser. Like after this movie, I think Man, Bowser is like high on my list of best video game characters of all time because he's the coolest, just so cool in this movie. It's so bad. It's such a villain in the best way.
Yeah.
Jack Black is truly, you can just tell the love that he has for everything with this movie. He truly is a fan. He truly loves the role that he got to play. Yeah. He like went for it. He really went for it.
Yeah, this could have been a real downer if it was just somebody doing, like, oh, I'm the generic bad guy.
Yeah.
Doing a bad guy voice. But, like, you could tell, like,
there's love in that voice.
He put his personality into this in a huge way.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a musical number in here that we will not go into detail, but was incredible and was very much a Jack Black performance.
Yeah.
I was surprised by like it was a true villain performance. Like Bowser really felt like a villain. There were times where he was scary. There were times he was doing things that were mean, like a little bit violent.
Very violent. Yeah.
Like not in a like super graphic way, but like more than you would typically see
like
in a Mario game or from a Nintendo game. Yeah, definitely. Totally. So I would say that he was one of the best performances
of the movie.
In the movie.
Yeah.
And I think there's one other that we agree on that we'll get to in a moment. Yeah.
I thought he was the perfect casting choice. Like I think I thought that from the very beginning.
Right.
That was like in the very beginning, and it truly was. Like you can just tell. Like there was truly like love. That he just loved doing it. He was having the time of his life being this character. And it makes a difference when you want to do it, you know?
Right,
so I thought that was awesome.
Charlie Day as Luigi.
Good. I like Charlie Day a lot.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I have seen a lot of Charlie Day stuff leading up to this.
Yeah.
What has he been in?
Well, I can't think of like a recent thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like Charlie
So I did not have a lot of background on this actor, but yeah, I thought the performance was good and a good kind of counter to Chris Pratt.
Yeah, there's a lot more personality in Charlie Day's voice, I think.
Yeah.
Luigi is it's interesting because Mario's character is a bit more multidimensional in the movie, I thought. Luigi has sort of a bit more of like a linear character. Like he is like a timid, kind of bumbling character, which he is in the games as well. So it's interesting because Charlie Day, I think, has probably more range than Chris Pratt, but is playing a more like straightforward character. So, but I thought he was great. Like I had no complaints about Charlie Day as Luigi.
We talked about this a little bit in the games, Luigi is just a scaredy cat because he's scared of everything.
Scared. Yeah.
And I thought in the movie they tweaked it a little bit to he is like fully dependent on Mario. Like they are never apart. I think he says that. He's like, I've never spent this much time apart from Mario. Well, it's been 5 minutes. Where it's like that is what has him freaked out. Like he has not had a chance to live on his own or do things on his own.
Right.
Versus him being
just scared,
scared of anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it, but I thought that was a bit of a different perspective on it.
I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it because I immediately just went to Luigi is scared because that's all I know about Luigi. Like all these years of learning about this character, I like one line that he's scared.
Right.
But never thought about like why he might be scared. But you're right. I think that they did a good job like again, it goes back to sort of that relationship building they were doing, like the dependency that they have on each other. Like Luigi depends on Mario because he knows that if they're together, like they're okay. And Mario knows that Luigi needs him, so he's like, I gotta figure this out, you know? And that motivation is really good. Like it kind of makes it so you really care about these characters more. And I think back to the voice, like Charlie Day does a really good job like getting that sort of nuance across.
But he also does have that kind of like manic, harried like voice that he can do when Luigi does get scared. It's like, all right, this is like real Luigi.
There's some good moments where Luigi is really terrified that he did a really good job with. I thought, like, I really believed it. Like, I was like, oh, this is such a Luigi's Mansion moment. Like, I love it.
All right, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, another actress that I don't know if I've seen anything she was in leading up to this.
You should see some of her movies.
So I was very curious about this going in.
I think she's an amazing actress. Like
I believe it after seeing this movie because this was incredible,
and it's hilarious because the stuff that she's been in is very serious, and then she's like a princess in this cartoon. So it's great to see her actually play like a fun character because she's always struck me as somebody really serious. She plays like, this. Like in her famous role, I think is the movie on Netflix or the series on Netflix about the chess, Queen's Gambit. She plays like a drug addict, like she's like very like complex kind of character. So to see her go from that to like Princess Peach, it's fun, And we were talking about Princess Peach being like not true at all to source material. Thank goodness, they really rewrote who she is.
Yeah.
And the character she is in the movie is awesome and like a Peach I can get behind.
Yeah.
One that is capable, has agency over her life, and I think is a tough, she's tough and she wants to save her kingdom and she knows that she's got to be the one to do it. And she's really like kind of the one helping Mario, which is really cool because usually it's like Mario's got to save her, right?
Well, they're almost like 1 and 1A together. They're like they are a team of like they're going on this big adventure to save what they love. And in Mario's case, it's Luigi. In her case, it's the Mushroom Kingdom, which is at risk.
Right.
Yeah, I thought she was just like absolutely the breakout character of the movie. I have to think this was one of the things when when they started like hashing out this story and what they were going to do.
Somebody has some real talk.
Somebody sat down and was like, "Hey, Nintendo, we're going to do something different with Peach because
and please get out of our way.
Whatever you've been doing, it's not going to work here."
That's not working.
Right.
I had like a real flashback horror moment to the Odyssey launch when we worked on the thing with the wedding.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh no.
We can't do that again.
That was a weird conversation that we had to have with that team.
There are some scenes that are like fake outs where you think something like that is going to happen. It's like, oh, we're going back to the old Peach and this could go really bad.
But it's not.
But they turn it around.
They turn it around.
Yes.
They're trying to fake you out, I think.
I was really worried at one moment.
You know that I would have literally walked out
like, oh, they're going to blow it. I've been having such a great time until now. Oh, no.
I know. I was getting a little worried, too.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I need to walk out of this theater and protest? Because of this, they're going to mess it up here? This is where they drop the ball here?
Yeah.
Oh, no. But no, it was fine.
No, there's a great scene pretty soon after Mario gets to the Mushroom Kingdom where she's like, well, if you're going to come with me on this adventure, you got to prove that you can do it.
Scene.
And they have this kind of like training course that they've built. And she shows Mario how to do it. And she like aces it. She like speed runs
She's speed running it.
It's like perfect.
This is what Nintendo calls the beautiful playthrough.
Yeah.
She beautiful plays through that course.
Right. And then it's like, 5 minutes of goofy Mario like getting hit in the face as he tries to bumble his way through.
Again, this is a great like platforming thing.
Yeah.
It looks like a legit like super hard Mario level and all of the different like obstacles that you've grown up playing in Mario games makes an appearance here. And it's hilarious because at the end of it, he's still like not very good at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't show him like beating the course, which I think was great because you're like, you get a sense that like, oh, he's not like perfect. Things don't just come really easily to him just because he's Mario.
Yeah, but it was the total like tone setter for that character of like she is actually the master here, and it makes sense because it's her kingdom. Like she should know like how things work, what these power ups do.
And he even says like, "You grew up here, though."
Right.
And she says she's like, "I grew up here.
Right.
It's okay."
And there are action scenes where like she's not just sitting in the back, like she is doing stuff.
She's doing a lot of stuff.
Like that is usually beyond Mario's capabilities. So she is like the true. Like
hero.
Force to be reckoned with.
She's actually the hero of the movie.
Right, in a lot of ways she is. And we get a lot more character of Peach.
Yeah.
And I think we all had a revelation of like, why hadn't we thought of this?
I know. I was like confused, but also elated at the same time.
So Mario kind of like points out like, hey, there's all these toads and you. But you're human. So what's going on here?
This is when I was like, wait, you are?
And she's like, yeah, I sort of showed up here like as a child and they raised me.
This is my first memory as like a baby.
I love this. She's wearing like the toad outfit. Like that.
In the beginning.
I need the fan art of Peach in the toad gear.
It's like the vest and like the poofy pants.
Puffy pants, yeah.
It's got like an Aladdin quality to it.
That was really cool.
Yeah. The toads like found her as a baby and raised her.
But that's like a deep lore question that I actually am interested in digging into.
Let's dig into that.
So did she come from the quote real world and get adopted into this thing? How did that happen?
Did she like stumble in through a pipe or whatever?
Because I think most people never thought about that. It's like, it's just like, oh, she's there.
I literally never thought about that.
It's like, why don't you ever see another human
in this kingdom?
In the Mushroom Kingdom.
And how did she get here?
Yeah.
It's like, who are your parents?
Who are her
like,
parents?
I don't know.
Well,
she doesn't know. She doesn't remember. And they showed like
it's like baby Peach from like Mario Kart.
Yeah, and then they also have a scene with baby Luigi and baby Mario, and when they have a little flashback as to why their relationship is so important. Show me a baby anything. I'm on board. Where's the baby Yoshi? Tell me where it is.
So yeah, I think would you say Peach and Bowser are the two like top like, and it's not even close performances.
Oh yeah. Miles above.
Yeah. Our last one is Donkey Kong and Seth Rogen.
Yeah. Generally good.
Well, there was a clip that came out, I think the day that we're recording this, where it was an interview with him where he was he was like, yeah, when they pitched me on doing this, I told them like, I don't really do voices. So I'm just kind of doing myself.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, like, did they want him to do something different at some point?
Or is it just like, I'm just going to do myself?
It may come down to what you think of his voice.
He does, so the two things about this character that I was a little bit surprised at. One is Donkey Kong's age sort of confused me a little bit. Like when I was playing the Donkey Kong games, I thought he was like much older, but he seemed very young in this movie. I don't know if Seth Rogen was just doing like a adolescent teen boy's voice or something, but Donkey Kong struck me as like a 17-year-old versus like a adult.
I got the kind of like young adult feel. So like we're not talking about Cranky Kong here because he doesn't have like that big of a role, but like he is very much like Mario, like trying to emerge from his father's shadow.
Mario's older though, clearly.
Is he? If he's still living at home?
Well, his business is not going. He's not.
Now, this is another lore thing that you don't want to get into. I think.
Into this.
How old is
Peach?
Because I think Mr. Miyamoto has said, and he's like, oh, he's like 25 or something.
I think he is. That's what I think he is in the movie too.
Right. Well, young adult. Yeah, like it's like Donkey Kong.
Young adult. Okay.
Yeah. I
think Peach and him and Luigi are like around the same age.
I didn't really have this feel for Donkey Kong as you did. I mean, I did get the sense of like he has this struggle with his father where he's trying to prove himself.
Maybe because he's just so immature.
He's very immature.
That it made me think
cocky.
of a teenager. Yeah.
Right.
Like a teenage boy would do some stuff that he was doing in the movie.
Because there is the scene where he's fighting Mario, and you get the feeling like he's never been challenged. Like he's the best like fighter that they have. Yeah. So it's just like whatever. I'm the best.
He kind of has like the spoiled young prince role, where he's like showboaty and just doesn't take things seriously, but also he does have some thoughts and feelings about like his life and his role.
I will say, like, we got a lot more Donkey Kong in this movie than I was expecting. I figured it would be like, oh, they go to Donkey Kong Island
to do a thing,
and then they leave and you don't see them again. It's like, no, Donkey Kong becomes like part of the group.
Donkey Kong joins the party, guys. Yeah. It's like collecting the RPG characters throughout this movie.
Yeah, and I was not expecting that, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I liked it too. I don't think it's bad. I just was surprised by this portrayal of Donkey Kong being this character of it almost again like a teenage boy. Sure. You know? I
mean, he does have it's a very like not serious delivery because it's Seth Rogen who is he's a comedian. Comedy background.
Of course, yeah.
I think it makes sense. I was not taken out by this. So yeah, I liked it. I just didn't find it to be as like
compelling, as
awe-inspiring as some of the others.
Right.
Yeah. So we've mostly been saying really, really, really super positive things about this movie. Let's talk about some nitpicks.
I know you have one that I don't share as much. I'll let you go first because I know you have one that I'm like not as bothered by.
Okay. I feel like they did not take full opportunity of the music that was at their disposal with this movie. They definitely use a lot of Mario music.
The score is good. Like, and when they did use the Mario music or soundtracks or iconic music, I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, thanks for making my point for me.
Oh, sorry.
It's orchestrated versions of Mario music.
But like classic themes that you like really know by heart really well.
I thought there was a big opportunity to do more than just orchestral versions.
Did you want an original score? Is that more so?
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Like you wanted original music written specifically for the movie that was in the style
but
of
you can
Mario
do, I mean,
games?
it doesn't have to be the Game Awards Orchestra doing everything. Like there's
Lauren
a lot,
Bath,
there's
take
a lot
bow.
of different instrumentations for Mario music. You can create a lot of different moods. You're going a lot of different places in this movie.
That's true.
And it just felt like, it's like, yeah, we're just having the orchestra do it all.
Yeah.
And it was cool to hear it, but it felt like the range of it was a little bit limited. And again, it's like, wow, like this is such a powerful library of music that you have at your disposal. It said in the credits, Koji Kondo was the music advisor.
Yeah, pretty prominently.
I just felt like they left a lot on the table as far as the music went. My bigger critique of the music is like there are some moments where they cut to licensed music.
Yeah.
And this was my concern with the Smash Mouth. They don't go that far. There's no Smash Mouth.
They don't put Smash Mouth, but there's some very popular music.
But again, those were moments where they could have used real Mario music to really punctuate those and make them powerful. And again, connect really with the audience who probably knows this music and make it feel more true to the world. But the music they picked was not very inspired. It's music that you would hear
it's a little generic
in a lot of other animated movies. Like one was like this AC/DC song, Thunderstruck, which you've heard a bajillion times.
But what about Wham? Don't sing that song, you're gonna get demonetized.
That's not Wham, first of all. That's Aha. Take on Me. You don't even know the song.
Wham!
It's not Wham! So, again, I don't know if this was just like a Hollywood concession of like, hey, people want to hear this Wham! Or this Aha.
Oh, no.
Whatever it is, this AC/DC, people need this, or they're going to feel disconnected. It's like, again, this is such a powerful library of music at your disposal.
Yeah.
Why not take full advantage of it?
Sure.
So, it didn't ruin the movie for me. It didn't ruin those scenes. I was like, I just kind of wish they'd done something different.
All right. Okay. That's fair. I didn't bother me as much as it bothered you.
Yeah.
Like I that scene with the Aha song, I actually kind of liked it a little.
You really like that scene, I could tell.
I laughed really hard. I laughed really, really hard. I would say, and I know this is a very hard balance to strike, like, it would have been nice to, there was tons of Easter eggs and tons of, like, Nintendo references and stuff like that. It would be nice to just have a couple moments where it was, like, a little bit more, like, on trend for, like,
how do you mean?
Stuff that's happening now. Like, a little bit more, like, meme-worthy, I guess. Like, a lot of these animated...
Fidget spinners?
No.
What do you mean?
Like a lot of these animated, a lot of these animated movies, they do like take advantage of like more like real world jokes or references. I think that's why I did like that Aha scene so much, because it kind of took into it like brought like a real world joke.
The song from the 80s.
It brought like an 80s joke into like the movie.
Mario could get rickrolled.
That'd be fun.
Is that what you like?
No.
Have you seen when Mario did the Harlem Shuffle in real life? It hasn't aged well. I appreciate that they didn't.
I guess it doesn't. There is like a danger of it becoming irrelevant.
Super dated.
And feel
like,
dated.
Oh, when you watch it in like 10 years, like, oh, that's cringy.
But also, like, it's funny because it captures the moment, It captures, like, the time that this movie was out.
I like Mario to be timeless.
All right. I'm just saying, like, it could be a fun
Mario does TikTok dances. Why hasn't this happened?
Where is the TikTok dance? Where is Mario, like, cutting a cake that doesn't look like cake?
Oh, boy. Wow.
Just kidding. But, yeah, I think that would have been fun to just, like, make it feel, like, really kind of, like, current or like, modern.
Yeah.
So I think there is, like, a danger of, like, Nintendo properties or video game things just feeling a little bit more, like, it's only for nostalgia. It's only for someone that grew up with an NES and grew up with Mario. Like,
all right.
Yeah. But, I mean, the plot of the movie is really good, so I think that kind of solves that problem.
Yeah. The other thing I'd mention here, and I've really struggled with this to decide if, like, did I like this or not? And I have to be careful because this is major, major, major spoiler with, like, literally what happens at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It is not what you expect, how you expect this movie to resolve.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. I think it will be very divisive among fans.
Yeah.
This thing happened. I hated it. I loved it. I felt somewhere in between. It took me. I asked you how you. I was asking just the people who we were with, like, what did you think about that? To try and anchor myself.
Yeah.
And I've come around, and it doesn't bother me because it feels in line with what they were doing.
And the setup was done well.
Again, I'm really dancing around this to it not spoil, but it feels like part of what they were trying to accomplish with earlier parts of the movie.
Exactly.
Of like coming back around.
That's what I'm saying. It sets it up. It does set it up well.
Right.
The setup that they do throughout the entire movie pays off the ending in a way where I think does make it make sense, but...
Yeah, and it's another one of those things where it's like, do not look too deeply into it, do not think too deeply into it. Mm-hmm. But I'm really curious, once the movie's out, to see...
what people think.
How people feel about that. And I will stop there.
Yeah, and I think on that same vein of, like, those types of nitpicks, like, it would have been nice. I think we got just, like, maybe this is... I'm only saying this because I got the tiniest, like, taste of it. Now I just want to know, like, about these characters, like, childhoods, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, we got, like, a 10-second...
Well, I'm sure they're going to make 1 billion more of these movies.
Yeah,
so.
Give me the prequel to this. I want to know. Like, I'm very curious about...
You want Baby Mario and Luigi the movie?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think I want that, but okay.
They're so cute.
Any other nitpicks?
I mean, generally, I really enjoyed every moment of this movie. So these are such, like, little tiny things.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
So let's go back to what you were saying in the beginning of this question of, did they show too much in the trailers? I think we might disagree on this.
Yeah. I think you're right. About 1/3, maybe a tiny bit more than 1/3 of the movie is what you've seen in the trailers. I was just a little surprised that, like, that far into the movie, like hours into the movie, or like 8 hour into the movie, I'm still seeing scenes from the trailer. So I was just like, that's a lot, you know? I don't know why they needed to show that many trailers. They could have done with, 2 trailers. Why?
I mean, even before we saw it, I think we agreed that the 3rd trailer was...
completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the movie was spoiled. I thought there was enough left that I hadn't seen. I mean, I guess that's just what they do with movies. I'm not the biggest movie guy, but I guess that's just what they do. It's like, you see a lot in trailers for a big movie, but they need to promote it.
I guess the other reason is, like, I actually don't watch that many trailers for movies, but I was, like, forced to watch these trailers because we were doing all these things, which is fine. So maybe this just jarred me because usually when I go watch a movie, I don't watch every single trailer that they have.
Right.
And that maybe is what they do now, and it's like a thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I would prefer not to have trailers be showing me scenes more than halfway through a movie. Like, it's kind of weird. You know?
Okay.
But that's just me. Maybe people want to see the trailers. I don't know.
All right. Let's wrap up before we get to our scores with just some big awards, some big winners from the movie. So who was the MVP? Who's the most valuable character?
Jack Black as Bowser.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, I might put Peach as the MVP, actually.
Really?
I might.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
very hard to choose.
I'm a Bowser stan now. I am such like a Bowser fan.
I mean, it's like we know, like, there's been a lot of characterization in Bowser in those RPG games,
Sure.
We
Peach
knew
is definitely the most surprising.
We knew Bowser was pretty cool and could be really funny, but also pretty villainous. Like, he had a lot of range. Whereas, like, Peach is like, she's just
trapped in a castle.
She's just like a blow-up doll making a kissy face.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of sucks.
Yeah. She definitely.
I baked you a cake.
Yeah, I really dislike Peach in the games, and now I like Peach in the movies. That's good. Yeah. But I have to give it to. I'm like such a huge fan of Bowser.
Most underrated character was who?
Underrated character.
Yes. I'm going to say Kamek.
I was going to say Kamek too, actually.
I mean, Kamek could have been just a total throwaway, nothing character.
Yeah.
But he was really...
important.
Like Bowser's, like, little henchman.
Yeah, he's like the perfect minion.
Yeah, and Kamek is in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
Kind of has a lot to do.
Yeah.
Does really, like, Kamek-y stuff.
And I think that the character play between Kamek and Bowser is really fantastic. It led to some really amazing moments.
This is a reference. Have you seen the first live-action Batman movie that had Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson? Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
I don't think so.
I kind of got that vibe from Bowser and Kamek, where it's like Bowser is the Jack Nicholson Joker, where he's evil, but he's also a little unhinged and kind of funny, like genuinely funny at times.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm kind of scared of this guy, but I'm laughing at his jokes and I kind of like him.
Yeah.
And then like Kamek is kind of like the more straight guy. Like the Joker had a character like that in that movie who was just kind of like the straight man who was like putting up with these antics and like trying. Like there's a scene with like the funniest scene in the movie I think was like a Kamek and Bowser interaction.
Oh my god! I think I cried laughing at that.
Like
scene.
I was like laughing for a long time at that.
Like I really cried. Like I think tears came out of my eyes because I was dying. It was so funny. Yeah, that interplay between those two characters was fantastic.
Character you want to see more of in the future.
This one I give to Peach.
Peach, okay.
I need to know all about you, Peach. I need to know what happened when you were a baby, the training that you did to become an excellent platformer. Why? Like I have so many questions. This has opened up a can of worms for Peach because I just want to know so much about who she is now.
Yeah. I think the Mario family I was really curious about.
Mama Mario
again,
and Daddy Mario.
You're not going to dedicate a whole movie to them, but it's like now that they've opened that door, it's like I kind of want to know, like, what do they do? Or like
the family table had a lot of other people around.
Yeah, like what are all these people's
like an uncle and an aunt? And
what are all these people's names? Like, what's the story here?
Yeah.
I want
to know. Mamma mia! I want to
know. Most heartwarming scene.
I think definitely the scenes between Mario and Luigi were really there's some tears a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there were some really sweet moments of them, like obviously when they're together and then they get split apart and they get reunited, all that stuff. Like there's some real character stuff there.
Yeah.
Like you feel sad with them when they're sad or scared or happy or whatever. So it was great.
Yeah, I really liked the baby Mario and Luigi scene where it's like baby Luigi's like at a park. He's like getting stomped by some kid and Mario comes and save him. It's like that's cute. It's like they've been like a lifetime together and a lifetime of helping each other. So that was some good just kind of character building.
Yeah, there's some good scenes between Mario and Peach too. A lot of encouragement from Peach I thought was really like cool to see because she's clearly very capable and he's still like learning and trying to do his best, but and there's a lot of like scenes where she just encourages him and try to make him feel better and stuff.
There are some really suggestions that Mario might have a crush on Peach.
Oh, I think it's more than a suggestion.
I think you asked me like, so does he like her? Now you act like you know what's going on.
I thought about it a little bit more. I'm like, oh, he really does like
her. Favorite moment.
Favorite moment.
Oh, you don't know. I really liked that training scene.
I was gonna say the training
that was like really well done.
Yeah.
That did like translate like what you would see in a game into a movie in a way that you couldn't do in a game. And again, it had a story purpose of showing like, wow, Mario is kind of a loser. He's the new guy here.
Yeah, he needs to learn.
He needs to get up to speed. So he's like learning, like, what are all these power? What's a power up? What does it do?
Yeah.
How do I even get this thing into my body? You learn about all of that.
Oh my god, the power up, getting the power up into your body is really funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick not a scene, but just like what they're doing with the power ups. I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
There is a part where Mario learns how to get a mushroom into his body, and then that he maybe didn't enjoy very much. And then also, I really liked there's one scene where Peach gets the fire flower power up, and like she touches it, and then her clothes change to the fire flower outfit. Like those little moments of like transformation with the power ups and. What you're doing with the power-ups is really cool. And that fire flower scene was really beautiful.
Yeah. And finally, favorite hidden detail or Easter egg.
Didn't we already talk about this?
Well, you have one that you've been saying for days that you want to talk about that you haven't said yet.
Which one?
Which is in the credits.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I forgot all
I could finish this podcast without you saying this, so let's keep a track of it.
Oh, yeah. This was a moment we both kind of awed at a little bit when we saw it. In the credits, very prominently, they show Mr. Furukawa, but they also have Mr. Iwata in there. I thought it was so present.
President of Nintendo, Mr. Furukawa, former president Satoru Iwata.
Yeah. And that was like, was thinking about this. I'm like, is he going to get something in the credits? He should. He definitely should.
He absolutely should, because he started this whole thing.
Endeavor, yeah. And he did, and I thought it was so lovely to see like it side by side with Mr. Furukawa's name. Like it just felt like this is a good way to pay homage to him. Yeah.
All the credits were very Nintendo heavy.
Yeah.
In a way
we saw our friend.
Yeah, Hollywood-san,
who used to produce Nintendo Minute videos and did all sorts of stuff with us. He's big time now.
He's really Hollywood-san now.
He's really Hollywood-san. Oh, I'm so proud of him.
But it shows like Nintendo had a lot of weight in this project.
Yeah.
Where if like they are so big and front and center in the credits, like that's when the font is still big. It's still the Mario font.
The font is the Mario font.
It's not the tiny little
whatever. The tiny crawl was like like way later.
Right. We should say this has been confirmed. There is a post-credit scene. Well, we won't say what it is. It's worth sticking around for.
Definitely, and it happens at the very, very
you do have to sit around for a good while, but it's cool to see.
Yeah.
All right, we've reached that time to give your final score. The Kit and Krysta rating scale is a 1 to 10.
Yes.
Are you going to do a 0.5? Don't do that.
Really?
Well, you can if you want, actually.
9.5.
Oh, wow.
I'm giving this high marks, people.
Wow.
This is an A, almost an A+. The little tiny nitpicks.
Yeah.
Those are very inconsequential to this. I just, like, when I came out of this movie, I was, like, so happy. It's like, this is exactly what I wanted to see as a lifetime Nintendo fan. And like that it's so joyful to have that moment.
It is.
You know, it truly is. So I was super excited.
Yeah, it's a rare thing when
to be happy.
You have hype that high.
Yeah,
and you're not disappointed.
Yeah.
Like that's really
very rare.
It's honestly hard to do.
Yeah.
I would give this a 9.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to do a 0.5. Oh, so it's basically the same thing. I was like, well, I can't give it a 10 if I've got these little issues with the music here and there. So
okay,
it's like,
exactly. There's some nitpicks, but there were not even like a 1 point nitpick.
But on the whole, like just an incredible achievement, just a huge step forward for Nintendo.
Yeah.
My God, Mr. Miyamoto.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to ask you, like, so he created all these characters in the medium of video games that have been so enduring and so smash hits. Now he has created this great movie with Illumination, with all these other partners. Like, where does that put him? I was like, is he like Walt Disney level? The other name that came to mind is Stan Lee of Marvel. But Stan Lee, he created a lot of those characters in comics. It's actually disputed like how many he actually created.
Right.
In the movies, like he's the cameo guy. He didn't have a hand, I think, shaping these movies.
And you can see like the heavy hand.
He is the co-producer.
Yeah, it's like 50-50.
He is super in on this movie.
Yeah.
And we know for years, like when he was like, oh, I'm working on these Pikmin short films. I'm really interested in film. I want to get into movies.
Yeah, he wants
like,
to do this.
We knew. It was
this
like,
is a passion.
This is your next big thing.
And when he has like, we know him too, like when he has his heart, mind set on something, like he will take it all the way.
Right.
You know, like he really is that type of person where he gets like super interested in something, like he will put his entire soul into it. And that's why this movie I think is so amazing. It's because he did that.
Right.
I don't know if there's a comp for this. I feel like he is like truly just this like one of a kind extraordinary person that has like this kind of creative mind that can translate characters across all of these different mediums. Obviously, he's working with Illumination, and they were great partners, and hopefully they had a really good creative dialogue about what to do with all of this, and that clearly played out as a great partnership. I'm glad Mr. Miyamoto wasn't like, no, Peach has to be saved, because I would be really mad at him if that happened. But yeah, I just think that he's truly like, I don't know if we'll ever see another Mr. Miyamoto like in our lives, like ever.
Right. Yeah,
way to go.
That was one of my other big takeaways. Like, I'm just so happy for him because we knew this was something he wanted to do, and he was really staking a lot personally on it. It was like this is
all over
this is my creation. I'm the co-producer. I can't hand wave it like I did the first movie from the 90s if it sucks. And also, like, it's very inspiring to be like, I'm having my next big act as a person when I'm 70 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
That's the thing that
like, you think 70-year-olds, like, you're retired, you're about to drop dead, like,
you're
whatever.
Gonna, like, be on an island drinking pina colada
like, this is it. You are done, like, in that sort of contribution sort of way.
Clearly not.
Yes, that's very inspiring.
That's one thing that always that's inspired me about Mr. Miyamoto is that he truly, like, even like all the times that we worked with him, like he always just has like this like endless curiosity and this sense of like wonder about the world around him. Like you truly get that sense when you are with him. And I think that's what keeps him going at 70 years old, or whatever. I hope he's staying healthy. He looks great, so I'm sure he's doing wonderful.
Yeah.
But it is very hard work to do all these things. Hopefully that he's just, still passionate about it. It definitely seems like that's what he's doing, and I'm just so proud of him. It's so awesome.
So everything seems really lined up for this movie to be a hit.
Oh yeah.
My prediction.
Billions of dollars.
Of $1 billion. I actually saw a story today.
125.
That was my prediction for the opening weekend.
I predicted a little bit lower, so you
on.
might have gotten me. You said exactly that number in a previous podcast.
I think we've got to be seeing more Nintendo in entertainment in the future. I think that's just I'm not even like pie in the sky. It's like the logical conclusion to this.
I mean, there is no other way.
Yeah.
Like truly, like I think they held back on certain parts of this movie because they know they're making a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they're already
they're probably making it right now.
at a minimum thinking about it.
Yeah. I would say.
Then
in the next couple of years, we'll probably see another one of these.
Yeah, and it's at what point does it start to broaden out to other properties? Mm-hmm. And that's where it becomes challenging of, how do you keep track of all these different things from all these different franchises?
How do you make sure that nothing gets sort of lost or deprioritized?
Mr. Miyamoto can't shepherd all of those.
Yeah, he is 70 years old.
Right. But that's for them to figure out.
We're just going to enjoy.
That's in the future.
Yeah, we're just going to enjoy this wonderful time for Nintendo fans.
Mm-hmm.
We get to experience all of these cool things.
Yeah.
We get to see like our childhood imaginations realized. That's great for us.
Yeah. Super great time. If you couldn't tell, you should probably see this movie.
Yes.
We loved it. We're going back. Opening day, we're going back.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're going to want to see this movie over and over again.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So go see it and then come back here and tell us
leave us a comment.
all of your thoughts about the movie.
Give us your review. Yeah.
Give us your review. Exactly. All right. We will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.